Day 153 of 365 days of meditation. I was up this morning, went for a walk with my wife first, and then came back, and meditation was the second thing I did. Meditated for about 45 minutes this morning. And then after I wrapped that up, I did a little bit, just a quick kind of journaling, and now here I am shooting the video. The meditation itself was interesting. So sat down, got into it, had some soft music playing in my headphones, just to drown out, basic background noises of condo life. And as I was sitting there, as I often do, depending on the chatter that's going on in my mind, whatever thoughts are popping in, random stuff, if I notice a theme or there's something interesting that pops in, I'll sort of inquire about it. And I don't remember what the thought was. It was something about trying to figure out how do you make the best decision when you have decisions in front of you. How do you figure out what your optimal life looks like, or the life that you want to create for yourself looks like, because there's just endless possibility. And so I asked the question, how do you know what the right decision is for you, and what sort of the ideal life looks like for you? And the answer I got back was kind of follow your heart. And then I asked the question, well, how do you do that? What does that look like? And what popped into my mind was listen to it. And I was like, okay. I sat there, kind of breathed, focused on my kind of heart center area, my heart itself, and didn't hear anything. I'm like, well, I don't hear anything, so how do I make it louder or make myself hear better and or listen better? And the answer that popped in my head was practice. And I was like, okay, well, what does practicing look like? And then I sit there and I don't know, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that goes by, and I'm sitting there again. That's sort of just really low volume music, gentle music playing in my headphones, and all of a sudden I hear this familiar sort of tortured, distraught screaming off in the distance across the road. And I knew what it was and who it was immediately. There's a gentleman who lives in our neighborhood that from time to time you'll hear him screaming, and I'm not sure if he's homeless or he lives in a sort of a shelter situation or government housing, but I do see him from time to time, do hear him from time to time. Definitely suffering from some kind of psychosis. It appears like he's schizophrenic, as he's yelling at people and having conversations with people that the rest of us can't see, and he just really seems tortured. And every time I hear the guy, or if I'm out for a walk and I see the guy and I hear him, my heart just goes out to the guy. He just sounds like he's just mentally tortured and suffering. And I've never experienced schizophrenia. Obviously hope I never do. But I recognize and am familiar with what suffering and mental torture looks and feels like. My experiences with OCD were obviously different than his with schizophrenia, but man, in the depths of it, it was hell. And my heart just goes out to him, because he's alone and he's struggling hard. And so as I'm sitting there noticing this gentleman, first I try to just drop back into a calm sort of state in meditation. And then when, I don't know, something just popped into my head, and I thought about this meditative practice that I did a couple years back called the Heroic Heart Meditation. It was when I was introduced to Kundalini Yoga from my kinesiologist. She was trying to get me to do some back mobility type exercises, and this Kundalini has a lot of spinal twisting and spinal flexion and extension work. So I ended up doing that for about a year, and the last meditation I did was, was a 40 days of doing this particular meditation along with these exercises. And that was really my first it was my first foray into meditation, actually. And that practice really just doing it for 40 days really just kind of psychologically, emotionally just cracked me open. I don't know how to describe it any other way, but so I tried that practice, and it looked something like I'm sitting there meditating, I'm breathing in deeply and slowly, and as I breathe in, I sort of picture this guy and imagine myself breathing in all of the sort of suffering and pain that he's experiencing. And I breathe it into my chest, my heart center area, and as I do that, it sort of becomes this sort of white, expansive light. It just expands more and more as I breathe in, kind of converting it. And then as I exhale that, white, glowing, warming, soothing energy back out to him, and it sort of envelops him. So that's the practice, and I started doing it, and then I don't know how long it took, not long, and the tears started flowing, and I started breaking down, and just, I really, like I said, I really just kind of empathized with the guy, that mental torture, that suffering, and then it started bringing up, times in my life when I was experiencing that, and I'm really just thinking to myself, like, man, I just want this guy to feel better. And then I started thinking about myself when I was experiencing that, and now I'm kind of, things are flooding back from my memory, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I really want myself to feel better too. And I really wish that, my younger self didn't go through those experiences per se. And just trying to soothe the younger version of myself, which is that Buddhist practice. So simultaneously myself and this other gentleman, and it was really interesting. I imagined both of us side by side and giving both of us a big hug, although I was kind of, it was, I don't know, I was bigger than them, I guess. The proportions were not correct, but that's what I did. And it was pretty emotionally intense. Some tears, some sobbing. I noticed that when I get into that place thinking about suffering and pain, there's a lot of nervous energy. I feel my nervous system light up. My teeth chatter sometimes, and it's involuntarily. I'm not trying to do it, and I'll even catch myself kind of rocking back and forth, trying to soothe. But yeah, it was really hard to kind of keep going with this practice, this heroic heart practice. That I was focusing on, but I kept trying to go, and I was trying to soothe myself and also soothe this other guy, or envision doing it, and it was just, I don't know, just a really powerful meditative practice. And what I realized after was the answer to how to be able to listen to your heart better, or hear it better, if you want to use that as guidance, is to practice kindness, practice love. Whether that's for yourself or other people, practice compassion, empathy. That's how you kind of build this muscle, your heart. And it's weird, as I'm recording this, it sounds so out there, man. Even as I hear myself saying the words, it sounds out there. It sounds like woo-woo. Part of me is like, I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I never would have thought I would be recording a video about this. I never would have thought that I would think in this manner, but there's nothing like experience to change your mind. And there's some stuff that I've experienced, I guess, with meditation over the last few years that has changed my mind. And I think continuing to build this compassion, empathy, love, and really is a way to transform my life in ways that I can't even possibly imagine. And I think in doing it, there's transforming the brain in the sense that, if my default is kindness and compassion and love and empathy, I'm going to behave wildly differently than I do now. And I think I'm a pretty good person now, but I can't even imagine what it would be like. And I'm going to be really kind to myself, which means I'm not going to do things that I know are not good for me. I'm going to make sure I take good care of myself. I'm going to make sure that I do the things that feel good in my body, that feel good for my mind, that feel good emotionally, that really align with what I want and what I desire. Because, you know, how we treat ourselves is how we treat other people. How we treat other people is how we treat ourselves. And you can't separate the two. That's definitely something I've come to realize as well. And so, yeah, just kind of building this heart muscle, so to speak, is going to definitely change how I interact with other people, or, you know, treat other people, but also how I treat myself. And that's going to just radically change my life, I think. At least it seems that way to me. And, you know, parents always want to give their children everything they possibly can because they love them, or at least that's what parents say. I'm not a parent, I don't know. But I would say that if you are able to sort of radically love yourself, then you'd want to give yourself everything that you want as well. And you wouldn't want yourself to suffer or put yourself through things that you dislike. And I would imagine that, yeah, that just opens up a life that at this juncture, I can sort of kind of imagine what it's like, but not really. You know, it's a leap away. So I don't know. Be cool to see what happens. Maybe someday I get there. I'd like to. That's the goal. At this point, anyway. I guess it's a new goal. So yeah, that's it. That's my rambling for today. In closing, if you are struggling at all with your mental health, don't suffer in silence. Like I said earlier on, I know it's mental torture. It is suffering. It is brutal. And being alone makes it 100 times worse. Not having anyone to talk to about it makes it 100 times worse. Just amplifies it. So if you are struggling, talk to somebody, talk to somebody, talk to somebody. It can be the first step you take towards getting the help that will change your life. And you'll be helping, you know, end the stigma around mental health. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Be good to yourself. Be good to other people. Take care.